You know what most men struggle with? They expect clarity from women, even though women rarely communicate desire in a direct way. When a woman starts to miss you, she rarely says it outright. Instead, she sends quiet signals, and if you are not paying attention, you will miss every single one of them. First silent signal is her sudden interest in your world again. She starts asking about your day, checking in, or reacting to things she used to scroll past. She is trying to close the gap without exposing how much she feels. When a woman misses you, she does not chase with words, she reconnects with presence. The second signal is subtle emotional availability. She gives you more softness, more patience, more depth. She will not label it for you. She simply opens the door a little wider, hoping you will notice. Women do not offer emotional space unless they feel something meaningful growing in themselves. The third signal is her energy pulling back just enough to see if you step forward. She is not playing games, she is protecting her heart. When she misses you, she tests the stability of the connection. If you meet that space with consistency, she leans back, and if you ignore it, she learns to move on. Most men overlook these signals because they expect obvious declarations, but connection is built on awareness. If you want to win with women, you pay attention, you observe what shifts, you notice what she is trying to say without saying it. When you learn to see these signals, you stop guessing and start leading with clarity and confidence. Women rarely express that they miss you in a straightforward way because emotional exposure carries risk, and most women have learned through experience that being too direct can lead to disappointment or rejection. Instead of opening up with clear statements, they rely on quieter behaviors to communicate what they feel. This is not because they want to be confusing, it is because they move through relationships with a protective instinct that has been shaped by their past. When a woman misses you, she becomes more observant, more intentional, more aware of the small ways she can reconnect without putting her heart fully on the line. This indirect communication is often misunderstood by men who expect directness or verbal confirmation. Many men assume that if she has not said anything, then nothing is happening underneath the surface. But women tend to communicate in layers. Their actions, their tone, their timing often reveal more than their words. When she misses you, she might linger a little longer in conversation, respond more quickly than usual, or take interest in something that connects her back to you. These are not random, they are deliberate signals meant to see whether you notice and whether the connection still means something to you. Part of why women communicate this way is the emotional cost of being vulnerable. Saying "I miss you" is not just a statement, it is a risk. It hands the other person the power to either meet the emotion or reject it. Many women are not willing to take that kind of risk until they feel safe enough to do so. So instead of speaking it outright, she expresses it through behavior. She might initiate small interactions, ask how you are doing, send a message tied to a memory, or check your social media more often. None of this screams "I miss you," but it signals it quietly with consistency. Another reason women express missing you indirectly is that they are often assessing your investment at the same time. If she misses you, she wants to know if you miss her too. She looks for signs in your response patterns, how quickly you reply, whether your tone is warm or distant, whether you make space for her. These subtle cues help her decide whether she should open up more or protect herself. She is not playing games, she is navigating emotional safety. The gap between what women feel and what they say is why so many men fail to recognize what is actually happening. They overlook the gentle attempts to reconnect because they expect something obvious. But when a woman misses you, she does not always want her feelings exposed. She wants to feel seen without having to push for it. She wants you to be tuned in enough to recognize the shift in her energy. She wants you to meet her halfway without needing her to spell it out. When a woman misses you, she almost never announces it directly. She will not walk in and tell you she has been thinking about you. She will not send a clear message spelling out her feelings. Instead, she expresses desire through small, consistent cues woven into her everyday behavior. And if you are not paying attention, those cues can look like nothing at all. Women communicate emotionally not through declarations, but through energy, rhythm, and presence. This is why so many men misread the moment and assume nothing is happening, when in reality, something meaningful is unfolding right in front of them. Then when a woman starts to miss you, her actions soften before her words do. She becomes more responsive, more observant, more attuned. She may watch your stories more often, reply to your messages with more intention, or show up in the digital spaces you occupy. She does this because she is trying to feel closer to you without exposing vulnerability. Women often fear appearing too eager or too invested, so they choose subtlety over direct expression. Even the way she listens shifts. She pays closer attention to the details of your conversations because missing you pulls her focus toward you without her consciously choosing it. There is also a change in her timing. She may reach out at moments she never used to, or initiate small interactions just to create contact. She might send something casual like a reaction or a simple comment, but that tiny action carries weight because it signals that you crossed her mind. She is not trying to make a grand gesture. She is trying to reconnect without risking rejection. Women deeply value emotional safety, and anything that feels like revealing too much too soon challenges that safety. This is why her signals come wrapped in layers of subtle behavior that you have to read with awareness instead of assumptions. Another quiet sign is the shift in her attention around the things that matter to you. She may suddenly remember things you said in past conversations or reference topics that connect back to your life. She is showing that you occupy space in her thoughts even when you are not around. Women do not invest mental energy in men they do not care about, and missing you naturally draws her back into your world. She may even check in about things she never used to ask because emotional longing often expresses itself through curiosity and care. Even her silence can tell you something. When a woman misses you, she sometimes pulls back slightly, not to distance herself, but to protect her own vulnerability. That space she creates is not a rejection. It is a quiet hope that you will step toward her. It is the internal battle between wanting connection and not wanting to appear exposed or dependent on your attention. If you initiate, she responds warmly because the distance she created was an invitation for you to meet her halfway. Understanding this dynamic requires emotional nuance. You cannot look for obvious statements or dramatic moves. You have to notice the shifts in behavior, the changes in energy, and the small efforts she makes to stay connected. Women communicate desire through signals instead of announcements because that is how they feel safe while still staying open to the possibility of something deeper. When a woman becomes more emotionally open and soft with you, it is rarely accidental, and it is almost never casual. Women are naturally guarded in environments where they do not feel safe, valued, or seen. So when she begins to reveal more depth, show more patience, or allow you closer to her emotional space, it reflects internal shift she may not verbalize but definitely feels. This kind of openness is quiet, intentional, and rooted in trust. Even if she herself has not fully acknowledged it yet, you will notice this shift in the way she listens. She does not just hear your words, she pays attention to your tone, your mood, your pauses. She starts responding in a way that shows she is attuned to you, not just participating in surface-level conversation. She might ask deeper questions, things that require vulnerability from both sides. This is her way of saying she wants to understand your inner world because something inside her is already emotionally leaning in. You may also notice her patience increasing. She gives you more room to express yourself. Even if you are imperfect with your words, she is gentler in moments where she might have been colder before. This softness is not weakness. It is a quiet signal of closeness. Women open emotionally when they feel drawn to someone, not by logic, but through emotional resonance. She is allowing herself to care and hoping you notice without forcing you into declarations. You may not be ready for another subtle part of this signal is her willingness to share more about herself. She may reveal insecurities, dreams, childhood stories, or moments that shaped who she is. Women do not offer this level of transparency unless they feel something significant building inside them. If she begins to share parts of herself she usually keeps protected, she is communicating that she trusts you with her truth. She wants to be seen by you, not just observed, and she rarely opens this door unless she senses you might walk through it with respect and intention. You will also see emotional openness in how she handles conflict or tension. Instead of shutting down or pulling away, she attempts to understand, bring clarity, or reconnect after a disagreement. This effort shows emotional investment. Her softness in these moments is not a lack of boundaries. It is a desire to maintain the bond she feels forming. Women who do not care simply detach. Women who do care lean in with grace instead of distance. Even the way she looks at you changes. Her gaze lingers a little longer. Her eyes soften when you speak. She is emotionally present in a way that carries warmth, steadiness, and curiosity. These are signals many men overlook because they expect grand gestures, but the truth is emotional openness is one of the strongest signs she feels something expanding beneath the surface. This quiet shift is her way of allowing you access to parts of her that she does not offer lightly. She is opening space in her heart and watching whether you step into it with maturity and awareness. When a woman pulls back slightly, it is one of the most misunderstood signals men encounter because it is easy to assume she is losing interest when in reality she might be feeling a deeper connection than she expected. Women often create a bit of space, not to play games, but to understand the emotional terrain they are stepping into. This space gives them room to observe your consistency, your intentions, and the energy you bring when the dynamic shifts. It is not a disappearance and not a rejection. It is a pause for clarity. When her feelings grow, she becomes naturally more cautious because she knows that emotional investment comes with risk. She wants to know if you show up when the interaction becomes less predictable. She wants to see if your interest remains stable even when she is not making the path easy or obvious. Most men misinterpret this pullback as a sign to withdraw to turning what could have been a chance to build trust into unnecessary distance. When you react with insecurity or frustration, you confirm her fear that investing in you might be unsafe. But when you respond with steady energy and presence, you communicate reassurance without needing to push or pressure. This is what she is really evaluating, your ability to be the same man even when the emotional weather changes. The silent question she is asking is simple: are you consistent, or are you only available when she is fully available to you? This moment of space is also her way of protecting her heart. Women often lead with emotional intelligence, so when they sense that something real is forming, they want to make sure it is grounded. She is checking if you approach her with intent or with convenience. She wants to know if you still initiate, if you still show curiosity, if you still bring effort when she is not actively pulling you closer. This subtle shift helps her see your deeper character. Are you patient? Do you respect her pace? Do you bring stability instead of pressure? These are things she learns only through observation, not conversation. Her pullback also reveals how you handle uncertainty. A man who reacts with fear or overthinking shows his emotional foundation is shaky. A man who becomes detached or cold shows he is easily threatened. But a man who remains calm, steady, and respectful shows he understands the quiet language of connection. This does not mean chasing or overextending. It means matching her pace with strength rather than anxiety. You demonstrate reliability through balanced presence, a message that resonates far louder than any words. If you step forward with genuine interest while giving her room to breathe, she begins to feel safe leaning back in. The space she created stops feeling like a test and starts feeling like a bridge. Her guard softens, her energy returns, and her trust grows because she sees that you move toward connection, not away from it, when things become uncertain. The reason most men miss the signals women send is because they are listening for words instead of watching for behavior. Men want clarity, they want direct statements, they want explicit confirmation. Women, on the other hand, communicate through subtleties, tone, presence, timing, and effort. So, when men wait for a verbal declaration, they miss the dozens of cues she is already giving. A woman who cares rarely announces it outright. She shows it by where her attention goes, what she remembers, how she responds, and how she adjusts around the connection. Men overlook these signals because they assume meaningful behavior must be dramatic or obvious. They expect bold moves when women tend to express emotion through quiet consistency. Many men have also been conditioned to believe that subtlety equals disinterest, so when a woman sends soft signals, they interpret them as neutral or meaningless. This creates a disconnect. She thinks she is showing interest. He thinks nothing is happening. Awareness is the bridge. Understanding a woman's signals requires emotional intelligence. It requires noticing when she gives more effort, when she becomes softer, when she initiates contact, even in small ways, or when she remembers tiny details about your life. She does not do any of these things casually. She does them because she feels something. But if a man only pays attention to literal communication, he stays blind to emotional communication. The men who succeed with women are the ones who slow down enough Observe they see the patterns, the shifts, the small warmth in her messages, the change in her tone, or how she engages with their life. They do not assume, they interpret, they notice. And by noticing, they build deeper connections than men who rely on verbal clarity. Women value emotional attunement. When a man can read her signals, she feels understood, and when she feels understood, she trusts him. Trust is the doorway to every meaningful connection between men and women, ChatGPT said. When you look at everything we have covered, it becomes clear that most of the real communication between men and women happens long before words ever enter the picture. Women express interest, distance, curiosity, and longing through shifts in energy and behavior, not through direct statements. If you learn to read those quieter signals, you stop operating from confusion and start leading from awareness. You begin to understand that when a woman misses you, she is not trying to hide it out of manipulation. She is protecting her heart, gauging your consistency, and looking for emotional safety. Men who succeed in relationships are not the ones who guess, they are the ones who observe and respond with clarity. Thank you for spending your time here and for investing in your own growth as a man. Your ability to understand connection on a deeper level will shape the quality of your relationships and the strength of the bond you build. If you found value in this, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next lesson on becoming more grounded, more confident, and more capable in how you show up in your life and relationships.